Thanks for staying with us. This is Newsline, and I'm talking to Mr. Gregory So on competition law and consumer protection in Hong Kong. Now, Mr. So, just before the break, we talked about one big gripe in Hong Kong, and that is we have a handful of super developers who control land prices. They control the property market. Well, they don't control land prices. The government controls the land prices. Government sells to these big property developers. The smaller developers can't afford to buy it because government sells very large pieces of land. So you've got a monopoly of a held by a handful of developers, and everybody in Hong Kong has to buy homes from them. You're saying the government is trying to regulate the market, make it fairer and more transparent through regulations rather than this competition law. Why regulations rather than a competition law? Why voluntary regulations rather than a real law?
No, we're dealing with...
It's the biggest issue in Hong Kong now, Mr. So.
No, if you're talking about the consumer protection angle, yes, we believe that there are specific measures targeting in having the market for these unfair trade practices in that sector. Yes, we are believing that these 9 new measures that has already been introduced should let it run its course and see the effectiveness before we legislate, before we decide whether they're effective or not, and if not,
but do you agree there's a monopoly being held here by a handful of property developers?
As I said, the law does not deal with monopoly or the market structure per se, but we're dealing with the abuse of that market power.
I think that's going to be...
If there's a developer that is having conduct that is abusing that position, disallowing the fair competition, the competition law would catch that.
So you've got a situation where you can say if people abuse competition, then the law tackles that, yet the law does not encourage competition.
No, the law... The very purpose of the law is
there's nothing said in the law that encourages competition.
Well, how else would you like to put this? Because we are tackling anti-competitive conduct.
Yet you're not tackling monopolies. Yet you're not tackling monopolies.
But the mere possession of a market share itself is not the problem.
Anti-competition conduct in itself means monopolies.
Well, it means that anything that would undermine, preventing, restricting, and distorting competition, that's anti-competitive. And it has to have the object and effect to do that. So it's a law that is fair, that deals with anti-competitive.
So you're going to have a situation where you can say that you can encourage competition, yet encourage competition within monopolies.
No, I'm not.
That doesn't make sense.
No, if you have... Hong Kong is a very small market, for example. It might, because you need to generate the economy of scale before you would have very efficient operation. So it might only have a few major players in any given industry. But what we're trying to stop is abusing that market share, abusing that market power to just allow other people from competing or entering into the market. I think that would be the right approach instead of the mere possession of the market.
Well, there was a story in the press a few days back saying that surveys, investigations have shown, data has shown that Hong Kong's property market essentially is controlled by 2 large developers. They have built and sold more than 70% of all the flats. That's a monopoly.
Well, actually, monopoly means one. And there is,
well, 2 is a duopoly.
In this case, actually, as I said, we don't deal with that market structure per se is not wrong. But if they engage in abuse of that market power, then that's where the law would come in to catch it. And that's the second conduct rule, the very thing that we set out in the competition bill.
Okay, well, we'll move on because I said I was going to discuss 2 issues. The other is consumer protection. And you used the word abuse, and I think, Mr. So, many people will say, again, we were talking about, here, again, we have 2 major supermarkets, and that's a duopoly, okay? Many people will say that these 2 supermarkets abuse consumer rights. If you go in any given day of the week, you'll see an item, and I'm not an idiot. I know what prices are, like a can of soup or a can of tuna or a bag of rice or whatever it is. And I know what the price is, and then you will then see it's marked up to way beyond what you know the price is that you've paid before, and then they bring it down by 20 cents, and then they say that's a sale. That's an abuse. Isn't that right?
Now we're dealing with consumer protection regime. Right now, as we propose this, this has not been introduced in the bill yet. Actually, we just started this consultation to ask the public for their opinion, and with
Even
the
the
result
Consumer
of
Council says that's an abuse.
then we would introduce amendment to quickly deal with these unfair trade practices. Now,
Do you think that's unfair, though,
Now,
Mr.
there
So?
is freedom of contract. And caveat emptor, buyers beware.
Sure.
What we try to establish here is to provide and empower the consumer to have the knowledge, skill to make informed decision out of the free will. And that's the purpose of this consultation, is to deal with those unfair practices that would prevent the consumer from access to these information to make that informed decision
But
or
where do you
aggressive
go?
practices.
Mr. So the point I'm making is, sure, you can educate the public and say, you know, a can of soup really is not $9.90 or $14 marked down to $9.90. It actually is $9.90, so you're not getting a sale. The Consumer Council has pointed all these practices out, these fake, so-called fake sales. You can educate the public. But after educating the public, there are still only 2 major supermarkets left. They still don't have a choice. They've got to have to buy it because both supermarkets are pricing it exactly the same.
Now, let's not mix up the two issues. What we just talked about, and before the break, is the competition regime, and you foster a competition environment for enterprises to compare fairly. Now, what we talk about here is to empower consumer protection, is to empower the consumer to make an informed decision in our free will. And the proposal, as we table right now,
They can make an informed decision if they have a choice anywhere else, but they don't.
Now, what we deal with is, for example, important omission of material facts without which they really cannot make a decision, or make a decision, or have made a decision which they otherwise would not have. We're dealing with that situation, or bait and switch. A lot of a consumer go to shops, and the shopkeeper will say, "Sorry, we just sold out. We have this other product which you."
Like to buy that.
And that's bait and switch, and happen quite often. That's why we're proposing these to make it a criminal offense for these unfair trade practices, and to protect and empower our consumer. As well as there is a lot of aggressive trade practices, and we want to hear from the public at our proposal what would be deemed as aggressive trade practices, to balance the consumer's interest as well as the trade's freedom of contract.
You've heard from the public about one thing, this consumer rights proposal that you put out there. You have a cooling off period of a week, and the cooling off period only applies to timeshare sales and unsolicited door-to-door sales. But the issues that have been bothering the public lately, like signing up for a year with the yoga centers and the yoga center goes bust, there is no cooling off period for these important things like yoga centers, beauty centers, slimming centers, telecommunications. All the things that the people are bothered about, you don't have a cooling off period
Michael,
there.
you brought up a very important point. The cooling off period has the purpose of allowing the consumer, to gather the information they would need in order to make the decision. Now, cooling off period is not a very effective way of dealing with a company that subsequently to the contract for the product of services to go bankrupt or to be liquidated, because the cooling off period, how long do you want it? And it would not deal with that issue. What we're dealing with, what we're proposing right now, is when you accept payment without the ability or the intention to provide that service or the goods, that's what we're dealing with. That would be a more effective way of dealing with a situation like that, and that's what being proposed now.
Well, I should also note that in this consumer protection proposals, you're again excluding the sales practices of developers.
As I said, there are 9 new measures that's been just introduced, and we need to allow these.
So
these
both
measures to be
laws are not going to
implemented.
touch the developers. Many people say you don't dare touch the developers.
No, as we say, these new measure has to take time to see whether it's effective or not,
Okay.
and we will not.
I'm going to let you
quickly-
go on that. I've just got a couple more minutes left here. Now, I'm just going to, as I said in the beginning, you were here previously as a member of the DAB party. You're now a political undersecretary. I just want to ask you this as a roundup. Do you like your job as a political undersecretary?
Actually, I love my job. It's given me so many different kind of challenges. And coming from a political party into the government, you see a different way of how policies are handled. I'm learning a lot and doing things that
But there's a
is
lot of-
new to me. A lot of pressure, of course.
But there's a lot of criticism that political undersecretaries are not performing.
Well, I humbly listen to the view of others, but there's a job to be done, and there's objective, and for example, competition law and consumer protection, and you just go full force ahead and do your best. I think
When
that's what we
are
call
these
for.
two laws going to be effective?
The competition bill, I would hope that we could, of course, it would be going through the scrutiny of the Electrical Bills Committee, and hope that we could go through that fairly
Sure.
quickly and implement it. And with this consumer protection consultation, we aim to introduce an amendment to the trade description ordinance in the next legislative year.
Okay, I've got 30 seconds. If the legislative council says, no, we don't like the bill as both of them as they are now, we want major changes, the government's going to do it?
Well, as I said, it will go through the scrutiny of the electrical, and so we will have an open ears, and we, of course, will take down the comment and try to work a best system for Hong Kong, and Hong Kong people will win.
If the Hong Kong people say, we want both of them to be tougher, target the developers, target the monopolies, are you going to do that?
The key is to balance what's best for Hong Kong, we will do.
All right, okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching Newsline. See you next week. Good evening.